Hello everybody and welcome once again to another Modern Amulet Titan video. We're going to be playing an interesting list that I've been inspired by Mistaken, a very fantastic Amulet player from Venezuela, also a streamer. And what he's been championing is the inclusion of Oblivion Stone in his deck list. So the idea behind those stone is if your opponent's playing Elesh Norn, if your opponent's trying to do some of that nonsense, you can simply blow them out by just dropping an Oblivion Stone and just hard casting it and then blowing it up. Then the strategy obviously is going to require you to maneuver around things a little bit. So what he's been doing is, for example, against decks like Scam, where doing the whole Amulet Ursa Saga thing, it's actually very tough to achieve and almost a liability even. What he's doing is he's cutting all the amulets and all the sagas, and then he's turning into a mid-range sort of mono-green control deck with... he's playing Hydroid Grixis. I think that's kind of counterintuitive, you know, when you're trying to play around Blood Moons and you're just, you know, blinging a blue card instead. So I'm playing Talus Trackers instead. But I think it's an interesting concept that I really want to try out and see if it works. So the idea is going to be, you know, cut 4 amulets, 4 sagas, bring in some lands, some Oblivion Stones, some potentially some sweepers, Talus Trackers, Endurance, all this good stuff. So it's going to be an interesting transformational cyber where we're going to be bringing in a bunch of cards from the board and then just kind of a bunch of quote-unquote core cards for the deck. We're also playing some Gardens, but he has not been playing 4, he's been playing only 3. I've been really impressed with Gardens, so I don't really see a great reason to play less than 4, particularly when you're main decking a card like Bojukebog. This may be like sort of a, you know, sideboard mapping configuration where you want to have the bog in the main deck so you can make room for other lands in the sideboard, although I think that he's only playing a Singleton Cavernous Souls in the sideboard. And then the spell suite is the one that he's doing, because if you're trying to do this transformational cyborg kind of plan, then Explore fits right into it, right? Like you don't need to be playing extra, like you really don't want to be going on the Mycosynth Gardens Amulet plan when you're trying to pivot into doing something completely different. So I think that the concept is interesting and worth exploring, so that's what we're going to be trying to do today. So yeah, hopefully you will join me. And if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. You can get notified when new videos get uploaded, which they do get uploaded every single week. And if you would like to support my content, you can do so by for free whenever you use TCG Player and Mana Traders services. Well, using the links in the description down below, you are supporting my content for no cost to you whatsoever. You will also find a 10% discount for Mana Traders in the description as well. And finally, if you would like to support my content directly, you can do so through Patreon, through direct donations. With any donation of $30 or more, I will play any deck list of your choice on one of my videos. And finally, if you're interested in coaching to take your game to the next level, I also offer that as well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you for round number 1. Here we are for round number 1. This hand looks fine. So we can go turn 1 Saga, turn 2 Explore, turn 3 do some stuff. Seems decent. The fact that I have Primeval Titan really makes me a lot more excited about this hand than something else. It's not an actual turn 3 Titan, but it's very close to it. And also Boseiju is very relevant interaction versus the Hammer deck, of course. Another Saga means that we're going to win on turn 4 now, which is good. Win on turn 4 is good. So there goes the Saga. I was gonna be 1 mana short by playing Gardens, so there's no reason to play the Gardens there. I'd rather just get the Saga taken up. So now this is gonna be interesting, however. Like, do we want to play Gardens to copy something? I think I'm gonna play Gardens and copy something. I don't think that making a construct matters at all. And if we just play Gardens and copy Amulet, then we can also hold up Boseiju, which is kind of nice. So I think this is gonna be good. I wonder if now this, I mean, they have to be playing Purpose. I was gonna say I wonder if they're playing Mana Leak, but I don't think I'm supposed to play around Mana Leak. There's an Amulet. Here's my land. Copy my Amulet. Pass the turn back, and we should have access to effectively a gazillion mana next turn. Ooh, nice heart. Plains. So opponent attacks, and I have a couple of options here. I mean, I guess I'm gonna wait until they do their thing. So now I think what I want to do is I want to blow up Sigarda Sade in response. Because what this does is it allows me, like if they have another hammer, they can play it. But worst case scenario is my opponent has 3 hammers. Okay, they have at least 2, right? Worst case scenario is my opponent has 3 hammers and then they actually kill me, right? But otherwise here we're going to just like, we're just going to take 10 to the face and it's going to be fine. They also find the basic planes, which means that I'm not scared about mana type. So we're going to have triple Amulet. So unless they have main deck Prismatic Ending or something, yeah. Oh, I've started seeing some deck lists playing Solitude, I think. Should I play around it? I mean, I guess it's free, right? I think I should play around it, mostly because there's no reason not to. But it's kind of cute. All right, so float a bunch of mana, and we're going to have way more than enough here. We're gonna go for multiple Primeval Titans here. So TOS, Growth Chamber, float a bunch of mana, wait for opponent to concede. Interesting. I think my line there was correct. I think this is because it opens me up to die into something that's very unlikely for sure, but is something that I may lose to in an otherwise impossible to lose from situation, right? So opening myself up to I'm paying for pack there because I can mostly. I could go for Cultivator here, but I mean, I can just cast more Primeval Titans, right? Who doesn't like casting more Primeval Titans? Float a bunch of mana. This is always very entertaining to me. It's like when my opponent makes me go through it. Although I guess that this is actually fair to make me go through it because I may have drawn one of my combo pieces, like one of my lands, and if that's the case, then I actually can't combo off. So I guess it's reasonable for my opponent to make me want to make me go through it. Okay. So we make a bunch of mana, haste that one. My dudes are hasty and angry. Hasty and angry, I tell ya. Oh, do they have Solitude? I mean, if they do, they should not show me. If they do have their Solitude plus white card in hand, they should not show me that they have it. Make me play around it. So Force is going to be great here. Another Bosages sounds fantastic. Cultivator can go. Oblivion Stone looks slow yet interesting. Cutting Bojuga Bog. I think I want to cut maybe 2 Explorers. 1 Cavern of Souls. There's an argument for Fire Spout. I think I'm a little bit more excited about Fire Spout on the draw. On the play than on the draw. Alright, well, moment of truth. I'm gonna keep this hand anyway. Like, Force of Vigor is just such a banger in this matchup. There's also the fact that we have O-Stone, which is kind of cute, but not the reason why I'm keeping the hand. Sigarda Sade. You got it. So my sequencing is gonna be very interesting here, because it's gonna depend on like how much value I want to get from this Saga. I've drawn Explore, so I think I'm gonna lead on Saga. This is bad against March. If they have March of whatever, this is bad for me, but opponent fetches from Marsh Flats. Mystic. Okay. So far there's nothing that we need to do. We can just go about our business as usual. Getting Caldra with the Sigarda Sade in play. Okay. Interesting. So we get to explore here, and ooh, yeah, all right, let's play another Saga. So now next turn we're gonna, I mean, we don't really need to go for O-Stone here. We can just play Dryad and just go the Dryad route, and then just attempt to kill them 2 turns from now. Like, I mean, this Caldra Complete is not gonna raise me, so my opponent kind of needs to do something here. They can suit up the Caldra, and that can potentially force me into using one of my cards. Another Stoneforge. That's so weird. Okay. They got Hammer. No attacks. Okay. Very interesting. Well, gonna float some mana here. And I think I'm gonna go... Obviously we get Amulet. And I think we're just gonna go for play Dryad. Play Dryad, bounce Forest. Do I want to play out O-Stone? Maybe? I mean, I can hardcast Force here, but I don't think that's something I'm interested in doing, I don't think. Oh, actually? Huh. Alright, like, this is a super, super weird line. Yeah, I'm not even sure this line is correct. I'm not even sure this line is right, but we get to do a super weirdo line here where we telegraph this Force of Vigor. We telegraph this Force so obnoxiously in my opponent's face, but I still think that it's right because I can't really afford to throw these summoners back away. And I also kind of can't afford to have my opponent own me here with like a Spell Pierce or something. So they don't use their mana. And now what? Swing with Stoneforge. I think we take it. I think we take it. Okay. That's a hammer. Hammer suits up the Stoneforge. And we take 10. Perfect. Yeah, that's acceptable. And now on end step, I'm gonna cast this Force, blowing up both of my opponent's things. So the reason to not do this in combat is if my opponent has a Spell Pierce, they know to use it there, and if they have another, exactly, if they have another hammer, I just lose, right? So here I'm putting my opponent into a kind of an awkward spot where they have to choose. They can't do both. So here we're going to go Saga into Valakut into Summoner's Pact. I mean, they could have second Spell Pierce, but we drew another Summoner's Pact, so it's fine. Obviously, you know, again, like, this is the best play, I think. But obviously, we got a little bailed out there. But I mean, if I hadn't done exactly what I did, my opponent would have been able to just like force both of my Summoner's Pacts, right? So by forcing my opponent to do something, we actually got some very nice value. So I actually think that the play that I went for was actually the correct one in the end. And here I'm just going for it because we know that my opponent can't have Solitude. So, and we just Valakut my opponent's face. All right, sick. 1-0 versus Hammer. Round number 2. This hand looks like a little bit of. This looks like bait. We can better than that. And look at how much better this hand is already. Keep this, bottom the Primeval Titan, I think. And now we can go turn 1 Saga into Amulet. We have the turn 3 kill. Yeah. So unless my opponent has the nut draw, there's. I mean, okay, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the only thing that can happen here is we just draw our like combo lands, and if we draw multiple of them, that may be a problem because I'm probably gonna be still fine, but it's gonna force me to go into a weirdo, just try to sequence with Asusa, try to get the get that kind of stuff going on, pact for Asusa to make sure that I have Garrison in play, like that kind of weird things. But if my opponent's missing the land drop here, okay, so I mean at this point I don't think we can realistically lose. I don't think we can lose here because my opponent simply is not gonna. They just don't have enough mana to deal all the damage that they have to deal me. Goblin Guide, Reveals, Explore, Secure the Critics, and they're tapping out, which means that this is game over. This matchup, as you can see, is not particularly interesting. Like, I mean, sometimes it's close, but my opponent, they don't really have any decisions at all. They are just playing the cards as they have them, and I think that's just the nature of how this works. It's just the way that it is. So how are we going to do this? We need to bounce here. We packed for Asusa, cast Asusa. We have to replay Growth Chamber, and now we play Boros. So play Boros, float a bunch of red-white mana, cast Prime Time, say yes, get Stronghold, and I guess Tolaria West for value. We even get to explore here. Oh, actually, I'm not supposed to explore because I may draw. Yeah, I'm not supposed to explore here because I may draw Vesuva or Sunhome. So just double strike our boy, send it back, 20U, Vesuva and Sunhome. Yeah, not a particularly interesting matchup, but I mean, we take the buy whenever we get it, right? 20U, thank you very much. All right, so game number 2, sideboarding versus burn. Usually I do very minimal sideboarding versus burn, but here we actually have Fire Spout, which is a reasonable sideboard card. I mean, it's not great. It's not a card that I'm actively happy to play, but it seems better than Cultivator Colossus. Do I want 2 copies is the question, because I don't think it's better than Explore. So I think I want the 1 copy, because all of my other cards are just better than the 2nd copy. This is usually the way that I approach sideboarding with Amulet, and with any deck for that matter. I always think about it in terms of like, what is the the 61st best card, and then I try to. That's the one that I cut. that's basically how it works, So if you're always thinking in those terms, I'm looking at my entire deck list and I see 61 cards, and I think, okay, what's the worst card that I have here? Well, it's actually the 2nd Fire Spout, so. Get rid of that one. Just because there's 2 in the sideboard does not mean that we're supposed to bring in 2 in a matchup where we're bringing 1 in. This hand is not very good, so let's go to 6. This hand is better. Is it keepable though? I think it's okay. Bottoming the Expedition map there because I don't think that is going to matter. Lava Spike is good for us because it means that they don't have a creature. Turn 1 creature into turn 2 creature. Those are the games that we lose to burn. So this should be a turn 4 Primeval Titan, but with Dryad in play already, which makes things better. Okay, play Growth Chamber here. I'm not gonna play around Molten Rain or Damping Sphere or anything like that. Opponent's Skullcracks on my end step. Why are people still playing this card? I thought people had stopped playing that card, but it looks like they haven't. Okay, Dryad, and I guess I'm gonna play another Forest. Your go. Do you have enough damage to kill me here? Hopefully they have a hand filled with like Serum Blazes and stuff. Alright, that's good for me, but like there are a combination of cards that I lose to here. Like 1 mana Bolt. Okay, that's not it. Okay, so Saga. So let's go Cavern on Giant into Ursa's Saga. We're going to cast Primeval Titan, and I think we're gonna go Valakut. So Valakut is not lethal, and there's no way that I can set up lethal. I can only 12 my opponent, so there's no reason to go for Valakut. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna set up the next Primeval Titan slash Dryad here, and I think I'm gonna swing for 2. Kraken Sanbei Canyon, love to see that. So I think we serve for 2 there because now it means that the next Titan is lethal without me having to attack. And that's valuable because of specifically Deflecting Palm. But here it's on my opponent. They have to, put together a combination of cards that gets me to 0 life here. Yeah, that's not the combination they were looking for. Yep. Yeah, and this is like, I would not be surprised if my opponent has a Deflecting Palm in hand right here, and they're short like 3 points of burn, and they cut, I don't know, like whatever. Even if they cut an Eidolon would have been 2 damage, right? So I think that people really overboard against Amulet out of burn. I think that if they cut less cards, they would win more. But that's how it goes sometimes. It's a tricky matchup. If you're not familiar with it, it's a tricky matchup in that sense. Round number 3, what do we got here? This hand is incredible, I think. Looks pretty incredible. Turn 1 Saga, play Amulet. Turn 2, Gardens, copy Amulet. Turn 3, opponent is extremely dead. I don't think we have a combination. If we don't find another actual Amulet, I don't think we really have a path towards turn 2. So what now? What if I explore here? Then I can't Gardens, but I can dig a little bit towards Cavern. So I think this is fine. Okay. Play out Gardens, pass the turn. I think if my opponent taps out, well, they die, so there's that. But if they don't tap out, if they're hold up counterspell, I think I just take it slow and I guess I just make a construct and I get Expedition Map. And then I can start getting like Cavern of Souls and stuff like that. Second DRC, interesting. So I guess we Spell Pierce. I'm not gonna play around Subtlety main deck. So I think we just Summoner's Pact for Primeval Titan. Float a mana. Now we just get Amulet. Mycosian Gardens, copy Amulet. Play that. And I think we just float a bunch of mana and cast this Primeval Titan, leaving green mana floating. And resolved. Perfect. So at this point we just go for it, I think. And we get to play around like Holy Heat, all of that nonsense by just doing this. I'm assuming we're playing against Murktide, though I guess it's not a given. I guess the good thing here is that if they do Spell Pierce, we kind of just get them anyway, because we just let it go and like we just have a Primeval Titan in play. Say yes, and Boros Garrison, Slayer's Stronghold. And here we have lethal through any interaction that my opponent could have, so they're just dead. Alright, Murktide matchup. This is gonna be an interesting one, because I think that this is gonna be a pivot matchup. So, let's go. Let's bring in those Oblivion Stones. Let's cut those Ursa Saga. And let's cut those Amulet of Vigor. And I guess we're gonna cut an Expedition Map as well. So now we have 31 lands, 62 cards. We have some 3-drops. we do have some 3-drops over here. We're a little bit crowded in this area right now. But it's probably fine. I don't think I can cut any of these cards. But maybe I can cut, I guess, a Tireless Tracker. And it's possible that the card I should be cutting here is Oblivion Stone, but I really want to try it out. So I think I'm gonna chill on that, and I'm gonna cut something else instead. We're on the draw, so I really like Fire Spout. So I think what I'm gonna cut then is gonna be one of these Endurances. I could cut a Dryad too. I'm just gonna cut another Tracker. This may be crazy, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is what we're trying to do. So, oh, okay. So I forgot about Jegantha. So it can't be. Oh, it's Shadow. That's probably a lot worse for us. I totally forgot about the Jegantha action that my opponent had over there. Well, we're gonna get Endurance. The nice thing is that it's gonna be very weird if my opponent has Blood Moon. So that's nice. But yeah, I definitely want to be changing things up then. DRC, and I think I'm gonna copy Blood Crypt here to have access to red mana, or I can copy Watergrave to have access to blue. I really would like to not go to discard, so I think I want to play Vesuva this turn and then play Cavern next turn. So the question is, which one do I copy? And I think I copy Watergrave. But yeah, as I just said, there's an argument for copying the red source for Fire Spell, but I think copying the blue is going to be more relevant in the long run. Opponent swings. They exiled my Dryad. Would have really enjoyed drawing that Dryad. I would have very much enjoyed drawing the Dryad. That's unfortunate. Opponent casts it. Okay. Here's a land. Let's say go. I mean, we can Boseiju it if we really have to. Would probably prefer not to, but it's a possibility if we do need it. I'm not playing around Counterspell here. I could have played Cavern on Elemental if I wanted to. Like, it really telegraphs the Endurance, but I think the Endurance is fairly telegraphed as is already, and Drawing the Lock doesn't do anything anyway, so I don't think that using Cavern there really does anything. And I'm going to block the Monkey. There's a strong argument for blocking DRC instead, but I think I'm a little bit happier blocking Monkey there. Just giving my opponent that much mana is pretty scary. Shadow. Oblivion Stone. I choose you. Interesting. Quite interesting. So we can pact for Dryad. We can also pact for Azusa. I think I'm just going to play Cavern on Giant and pass the turn back. So we're just going to play some defense here. Play some nice little defense. Of note, my opponent could have put Jegantha in hand and they didn't. So that suggests there's something at least. Oh, they drew the basic swamp, dude. That's so unlucky for them. That is kind of very unlucky, actually. They're gonna serve with everything. Okay. I mean, that second endurance there is such a banger. Such a banger draw. So the question now is, do we play around Dress Down? Because we actually do die to the Dress Down. But now what they can do is they can dismember here and they kill the other endurance. So I think I'm not supposed to play around Dress Down and I'm supposed to do this instead. So we do die to Dress Down here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the question, right? Like, do I want to play around Dress Down or do I want to play around Dismember? And I think it's more likely they have Dismember than Dress Down. Okay, so we are actually playing against Shadow, which makes me not that excited about this sideboard plan. At least not the Fire Spout. And I did see Dress Down, so I do want to cut some number of Sagas, but probably not all of them. And I want to cut some number of Amulets, but probably not all of them. I don't think Tracker's where I want to be. And I still want to try the Expedition, the Oblivion Stone, so let's hold on to those ones. Let's actually cut one Saga. Let's go with this. One Saga, 2 Amulets. Yep, keep this one. It's quite strong. Quite strong. Opponent's gonna be really hard pressed to have a Thoughtseize on one. Otherwise we're gonna get to be really ahead. That's perfect, right? You keep only 2 Amulets because you're gonna draw one of them. Thoughtseize. There we go. So now they can take the Dryad, which is probably the right play because yeah, they're very interested in keeping me down on mana. I think I'm supposed to just play my land drop, make my land drop here. The question is, do I explore or do I O-Stone? I think I'm gonna O-Stone. Just uses my mana a little bit more efficiently. And now this O-Stone just sits here and my opponent needs to like play around it for the remainder of the game. And if we have to blow up my own Amulet, we just do. It's fine, but obviously blowing more of my opponent's things is what we're trying to do. Maybe they have a Breathe? Bird Lawyer. Bird Lawyer is fine. Okay, so let's lead on Explore, land, Cavern on Giant. Here we go. I mean, as is, we got it ready to go here. We have to be wary of Dress Down. So I guess Dress Down and Unholy Heat potentially. Potentially maybe. Monkey. Hardcast Monkey. Okay, so here's a Summoner's Pact. 4 Primeval type. Here's a land. Float some mana. We're gonna bounce this. They do get to loot. To connive, I guess. We're gonna see if they do find the Dress Down. And they can have something like Dress Down into Unholy Heat. Like that, obviously that would be insane. They just don't have it. Okay. So right now they could be playing Murderous Cut. Murderous Cut is the only thing that gets me, but I think that's fine to not play around. Double Bolt, another option. If they have Dismember plus block with Monkey, I'm fine with that. Let's haste Primetime. And I think we're gonna bounce the Garrison, actually. Like, it doesn't look like my opponent has an answer to this Amulet, so what's his name doesn't do anything. What's his name? Terminate. Okay, Terminate is good, yeah, for sure. Terminate is good. Maybe I should have just bounced something else instead of the Garrison. I'm actually not sure. Vesuva has been exiled. Okay, so I have to be mindful of that. Vesuva is gone. My opponent's gonna need to deploy something. They need to do something here. I don't think they can afford to play the control game. They shock, so I assume there's a Shadow. Jegantha to hand. Okay, that's good. Alright, so we pay for Pact. So yes. Gracer would be nice. Endurance is very strong. So play a land and send it back. Yeah, that Endurance draw is insane. Actually, maybe I was supposed to play Cavern Elementals there, because I am now enabling Drowning the Lock. The thing is that if my opponent wants to Drown the Lock the Endurance, then they don't get to Drown the Lock my summoners. But they do have Drown the Lock. Okay, I have been drowned in the lock. We take 3, play a Dryad. Okay, I doubt my opponent's gonna cast this one. Maybe they do, I don't know. Stranger things may have happened, or maybe not. Opponent's paying costs. Oh my god, they just want to shred? Okay, I accept this. It's a bold move. That is a bold move. That is a bold move. Oblivion Stone, literally right there. They drew Thoughtseize. Okay. So Summoner's Pact is gone. 1 card left in hand. Okay. So the question now is, do we play around Kolaghan's Command? So I think I'm just gonna play these on Giant, and we say go. I mean, we may never find another threat, right? That is the scare here. But I think I'm supposed to take it slow. So I'm going to take 6 damage. And I'm going to put a counter on my Amulet. I'm not going to crack just yet. Gruul Turf exiled. But the real scare is we crack O-Stone. And then my opponent immediately place another threat, which is, I mean, I'm gonna be forced into doing that this coming turn, but yeah. So put a fate counter on Amulet, mostly because it's free, not because we care about it. Let's see what's on top of the deck. Saga is very nice. Let's play it out. So now we are going to have to crack the Oblivion Stone, I think. Next turn we are threatening lethal, but I don't think I can just go to 1. So I'm going to crack this Soulstone in combat. Alright, go to combat, point attacks, crack Oblivion Stone. Your stuff dies. DRC, okay. No Shadow is obviously fantastic. That's also kind of nice. Huh. So how do we do this? So I think I want to play around Kolaghan's Command still. So let's do this. I'm going to bounce Celestia Sanctuary. And the way to play around Kolaghan's Command is by keeping the Amulet of Vigor in my hand. If that wasn't clear. Oh, I messed it up. I messed this up. I had to bounce the Slayer Stronghold. I think I had mana for everything. I could have made Construct, Dryad. Yeah, I think I had the mana for everything. 3 to make Construct, 2 to haste, 2 to haste. Yeah, I actually messed that up. It may have been a little bit too all in. So maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's not worth it. I don't know. So I think we haste Dryad because it plays around Dress Down better. This, you know, now they can heat or they can terminate or whatever, but okay. So my opponent has something strong on top, which is very sad for me. Okay, so we're gonna go to 4. My opponent has a good card on top. Take 3. We really have to dodge Dress Down. Dress Down is the biggest beating. Also, I think we have nothing to go find with Amulet now that I think, with this Saga now that I think about it, because I think we cut the Expedition map too. So I think there's nothing to go get with Amulet, with Saga, which is kind of brutal, honestly. Yep. Alright. Do you have the Dress Down, opponent? Man, I wonder if Dress Down was the card that they top decked. If that's the case, that's devastating. That was a bad play. Come on, let's see the Dress Down now. All right, is this good enough? Unholy Heat. Okay, Unholy Heat is less bad for me than Dress Down, because they hit the 6/4, they go to 1, but we still have a threat. They kept on top again though, so I have to imagine that I just die to whatever card they left on top, like a K command or like any shock does it. Yeah, okay, Dashed Monkey, whatever. Oh, that's brutal. I do wonder if that misplay right there ended up costing me the game. Really wonder what happened there. But yeah, that misplay with the Dryad could have been the difference between winning that match. That's rough. My bad. Look, I love an Olander just like the next guy, but gonna mulligan that one. This hand is good though. So keep this. Bottom Valakut, turn to kill. Of course we can, you know, just die, because Modern is unforgiving like that, you know. Alright. Well, here's an Amulet. Do you want to counter it? Amulet resolves. Opponent fetches on my end step for Jetmir's Garden. Okay, so I guess if I had to guess, based on what I'm seeing here, we're facing creativity. And I guess we're gonna have Leyline Binding, yeah. Play another one. And here we go. Not many interesting scenarios to, to talk about here. Renin 6. So I can actually prime time here thanks to double Summoner's Pact. If my opponent doesn't have another Leyline Binding / Prismatic Ending. It's risky, but I think I'm supposed to do it because I'm going to be protected from Archon, and I'm also going to be protected from Leyline Binding because I can just get, wow, must be nice opponent. I was going to say I'm protecting from Binding because I can just get Boseiju from the prime time. Well, I mean, 2 bindings in 12 cards. Also, I had 2 Amulet in 6, so... But who's luckier? Opponent's luckier. Opponent's much luckier. And they also have the turn 4. Okay? I mean, if I find Primeval type, if I find an Amulet, I may be able to get there. That's not an Amulet. You're not an Amulet, Gracie boy. Alright, creativity. Boseiju. Oblivion Stone, I guess? They have Leyline, so I like Force versus the Leyline versions. And that's about it. If I had explosives, I would bring in explosives, but maybe just like the 1 or 2 copies. O-Stone seems way too slow. Like, I don't think you can justify O-Stone. Let's cut a Bog and a Cavern and call it a day. Sure. Let's keep this. So we can go turn 1 Gardens into Amulet and go from there, but it's kind of rough that, you know, we're looking for a threat here. We're looking for a way to end the game, and it's unclear what our best route to victory here is. Explore. They have Nature's Claim, dude. How do you have Nature's Claim? All right. They Nature's Claim on my draw step too. Like, what's the point? Why would you Nature's Claim on my draw step? That's so random. You're gonna ice my land? Jesus. I mean, if the creativity deck looks like this every time, I can see why people like it. Fable. Well, I guess we're going to Dryad into Explore and see if this works. I mean, I'm not loving my spot because we're still missing a bunch of pieces here, but the good thing is at least I have a Dryad here, so I can just throw the Dryad in front of the Goblin Shaman and then I can just force the thingy. Alright, opponent does attack and we are indeed blocking. But if they find like a fetch land exactly, then we're gonna be in trouble. They discarded 2 fetch lands, so I'm assuming that they have something good here, but I don't know. We'll see. Bolt. Okay. I mean, that seems fine to me. That also suggests that they don't have creativity here. Lingering Souls? What? Is that just so they can have more tokens? Primeval Titan. You're like a little bit tiny to be a Primeval Titan. It's a Dryad. Let's do some exploring. Oh, I messed that up. I guess it doesn't matter. Land number 1. Land number 2. Land number 3. Pass the turn. So I don't think I want to play out the Dryad because if they do have what's his name, if they do have the Archon, then I don't want to have to sack the Dryad to the Archon. I don't know how I feel about Lingering Souls though. Particularly, I mean, as I said, if I had explosives, I was gonna be bringing in explosives in this matchup. Can I have a prime time, please? If we do find prime time off the top, we're kind of cooking. Prime time? One time? Not it. I'm Am I supposed to play out the Dryad this turn? Has anything changed? I don't think so. So I'm just gonna send the turn back. Now we can hardcast Force, which is nice. Means that we can just discard the Grazer to some triggers. Although I guess that if my opponent's gonna be doing creativity at X equals 3, like we're just gonna die here, right? Like there's not much going on. So I think we're just gonna cast it. Cast this Force now. It's not really doing anything. Might as well take them a little bit off of mana. Saves some damage in the process. Prime time? Not quite. So this is just like a very, very sad a very sad back and forth where we're taking 5 and then they do their thing and it's not exciting. Primeval Titan. Nope. Alright, so this turn I'm actually going to play out the Dryad and I'm going to play out the Grazer here. And the reason for this is I can actually stop my opponent's onslaught a little bit. And at this point, I'm dead to Archons, so there's no real need for me to play around stuff. If they have Archons, I die, so I cannot be the Resolve Creativity. Leyline Binding, sure. Opponent fetches. Another Dwarven Mind token. I think I'm supposed to Boseiju here to shorten the clock. So even if I do find Teleria West, I can just T-West and Primetime in the same turn. It's kind of awkward in the face of another Bolt because I block the Dwarf and they just have another Binding. Okay. Alright, so I guess this didn't really do anything. This was just a very unexciting match. I mean, I guess game 1 was kind of exciting, but this game was just 2 mopey decks hoping to get there and failing to do so. Neither deck is doing what it's been intended to do, and they finally found something, and now we lose. Oh, they have a Bolt. All right, you got it. Time for the last round. Let's salvage that 3 and 2. We can go turn 1 Saga, turn 2 Saga, turn 3 Azusa into a bunch of stuff. Yeah, okay. The thing is that this hand has enough permutations that arrive at me killing on turn 4 that I think I'm okay with this. Another burn gamer? Okay. What's going on with that? Why is there so much burn? I think I'm actually going to discard the Valakut here, as weird as that may seem. I just don't think that I need it. Really want to dodge Eidolon here. Okay, that's a lot better for me. Primeval Titan has been drawn. Well, now I think my opponent's they're just dead next turn. And I don't think there's too much they can do about it. I'm at 13. I mean, they're at 21, but we're gonna just throw a bunch of Primeval Titans at their faces. Arboreal Grace. Okay. Oh, actually, I have single Amulet. Never mind. For whatever reason, I was thinking that I was gonna have access to two amulets next turn. But that's very much not true. Very much not true. Alright, so find Amulet. How are we doing this? This is actually really awkward. I simply cannot protect this Azusa unless I bounce this Ursa Saga. So I guess I'm just gonna have to bounce this Saga, which is very awkward. We're gonna have Grazer as a blocker, so I'm not like too scared about that, but I don't think I have any lines that lead me towards a kill with the stuff that I have right now. Bounce. I guess play another land. So if they have 8 points of burn, I lose. But this turning into what's his name is not going to change that. So this turning into an amulet is not going to change that. So what really put me in an awkward spot is the fact that my lands, my green sources were all bounce lands, which are kind of hindering my development here. Oh, this is incredible for me. This is best case scenario. So now we have already used our Exolander for Explore, so that's very notable right there. But we can still like play this out. We can, I guess, transmute. We can both Explore and transmute. We're not gonna get the Exolander, but it's fine. We don't need it. Okay, so we just draw Cavern of Souls, and now We transmute for Summoner's Pact. So Azusa's dead. My opponent we may be in an interesting spot here. Depends on what the rest of their hand looks like. So if they're gonna bolt this Grazer or something, then I'm pretty happy about that. Helix in the Azusa after I got full value. I mean, I played around it with my sequencing, so I kind of figured that it was a possibility that they had a Sunburn spell that went to creatures. No attacks. Well, that's absolutely perplexing. Okay, so we're just gonna cast Primeval Titan here. Man, what a weird game. Super weird game. So here's Prime Time. We're gonna serve Boros Garrison, Slayer Stronghold. This is mostly just to develop mana here. And then what next? So we swing. And now, I mean, we can go Valakut Bounce Land. I think that's what I want to do. That means I get to Pact for Dryad and set up lethal for next turn. And it probably doesn't really matter too much, but I mean, my opponent either has it or they don't. Unless they're main deck in Deflecting Palm, in which case we just die to this attacking Prime Time, but I'm not gonna play around main deck Deflecting Palm, you know? Alright, so we attack, bounce Boros Garrison. Now see what my opponent does. The good thing is that they have ways to trade with this, but the way that we set this up, like we already have things set up for next turn. So like if they want to like double block plus bolt the Prime Time, which is a way to trade with it, I can just chill and just Primeval Titan again. Okay, so they just Skullcrack me, and so here's a Dryad. And again, I could do stuff like, you know, Cultivator to set that up for next turn. I don't know, like there's like a variety of things that I can do. None of them really matter. My opponent is going to be dead next turn regardless, or I am going to be dead next turn regardless. There's no ways around it. So okay, turns out my opponent drew one too many creatures a little bit too late. So they didn't draw enough creatures at the very beginning when it was good for them to draw creatures, and now they're drawing them creatures in a spot. They're drawing creatures in a spot where it's not good for them to draw creatures. So, but yeah, this is like so in the past, the matchup versus Burn was basically a bye because you just had access to Radiant Fountain. So resolving a Primeval Titan was effectively game over. There was very little that your opponent could do. Like they would need to be like casting Skull Cracks in the nick of time or like stuff like that. So now that there's no Radiant Fountain, we are in a spot where it depends on your opponent's draw, and you find yourself in scenarios like the one that we find ourselves right now, where if your opponent has it, you just kind of die and there's not too much that you can do about it. I don't even know where I'm trying to go with that. It's just an observation more than anything else. But yeah, the Burn matchup, it's just very, very good for us. Make that change and Fire Spout for Bojuka Bog. Yeah, really weird that we played against Burn twice in the same league. Very unlikely, I think. I mean, it's a popular deck, it's cheap, you know, budget deck, whatever, but I have not seen Burn doing well lately. let me put that in the kindest terms that I can come up with. Burn sucks. Who said that? That was not me. Who said that? Okay, number 2, opponent rocking the 61 card special. And I mean, that's probably a good sign for us. It means that he had too many good cards to bring in. Yeah, I don't think this hand does anything. So let's think. We have to play around Smash to Smithereens, which is, you know, kind of problem number 1. Besides that, this is a Tolaria West, but this is going to be 1, 2, 3 amulets, potentially 4, potentially 5 amulets. That is the stuff of dreams, but it's going to take me like 5 turns on the draw. Yeah, I'm going to ship it. This is much better. Keep this one, bottom the Redundant Summoner's Pact. Yeah, this one's much cheaper. We do get blown out by a Wear Tear, but opponent goes turn 1 Arid Mesa, go. Alright, baby. Just casually top deck a Summoner's Pact after I bottomed another one. A tale as old as time. Boseiju is a banger draw. Play Boseiju. And I think I'm going to explore here instead of going for Grazer, because Grazer actually nets me mana next turn. Which I don't know if I need just yet, but just by having the option. And my opponent did not play a creature so far, so if they want to be spending their turn 3 playing a creature, very happy about that. Okay. So, I mean, here we can just... My opponent is taking so long. They have 5 cards in hand. We're at 17. So it's potentially possible for them to kill me from here. The problem is we have 3 mana, 4/5. I guess we just have 6 mana if they don't have Smash to Smithereens. But if they do have Smash to Smithereens, we are in tough shape. I still think I'm supposed to go for it. It's kind of awkward, but I'm very sure that my opponent has to Smash here, because they have done nothing so far. So they're salivating. They're just salivating, waiting to do this. So Grazer, I will announce my Grazer trigger, please. I knew it. I knew it. It's like I've been around the block a time or two over here. Okay, so now things have slowed down significantly for us. So I think I want to pact for either Azusa or Dryad. I think I'm going to pact for Azusa because it's a little bit safer in the face of removal. So here we actually get to guarantee hitting our land drops, even through a lightning bolt or whatever. So we're just going to go Boseiju, and now we get to guarantee our land drops because of my sequencing, and now we're going to be able to guarantee that we can pay for pact on my upkeep. So what to bounce is interesting here. There's arguments for bouncing Boseiju. There's arguments for bouncing Ursa Saga. I think I'm going to bounce Boseiju, and I'm not going to play around something like Molten Rain. There's a couple of reasons for that. I can already pay for pact, so that's covered. This sets up my future turns, and even more importantly, it deceives my opponent into the false impression that I care about the amulet that's about to come off of this Ursa Saga, which is going to potentially allow me to live a little bit longer. Searing Blaze to kill Azusa is fine. At this point in time, I think it's possible that Grazer is more valuable than Azusa, honestly. Pay for pact. And I guess we're going to play out the Boseiju, pass it back, down to 8. Opponents out there playing the control game. Rolling Vortex. So we take 1. So now they're just dead. I guess Path to Exile is the only concern here. Amulet. Summoner's Pact. Oh, this is 0, that's right. So I guess I lose to Lightning Bolt. I always forget that that's a freaking 0. Can I 16 from here? Yes, I can 16 from here. So we lose to Path to Exile. We can't beat Path, but we can beat everything else. So Slayer's Stronghold, Semi-Growth Chamber. I think I have not used Vesuva, right? Or did I mess that up? Play that. Pretty sure I haven't used Vesuva. Haste Prime Time. Bounce that. Go to combat. Swing. Say yes. Vesuva. Sunhome. Vesuva Boros. 16, yeah? You love to see the X-axis skill. You love to see the X-axis skill. Alright, wrapping this one up. This whole concept was actually quite interesting. It did work. We only saw it in one game, obviously. But it did do work. I do wonder if we are supposed to bring it against creativity because the game slows down a little bit in post-Cyber games. I would be very surprised if that's the case. Like, that seems really bad to me. But maybe that is the nature of the matchup post-board. I don't know. I think there's arguments for everything, but the concept of Oblivion Stone was interesting. The problem is that it buys time, but it does so in a way that doesn't really apply pressure. So you're still kind of in the same spot. So you are hoping for your opponent to basically overextend into your O stone so that you can take advantage of it. But at the same time, your opponent knows about it. So Usually the nice thing about Wrath is that your opponent overextends onto them because they don't know that they're coming. But in the matchups where you want to be bringing in O-Stone are matchups where you may be cutting some number of amulets, meaning that the likelihood that you can just have the 8 mana like Tron does, where they play O-Stone and immediately crack it, the likelihood of that happening is much, much lower, right? Because you are just not going to have that kind of mana until the very, very, very late game. So it's weird. It's weird. Like, it's one of the things that is just crazy enough to work, you know? So I'm going to maybe give it another try or two. But so far, I'm not impressed. Like, I don't think that this is better than just playing engineered explosives and like doing the stuff that I was already doing. In fact, when I got paired against, the creativity deck, I would have had access to Swan Songs in my sideboard, which would have been much, much better, right? So, I don't know. It is definitely it's a very, very diverse and very ever-changing metagame right now in Modern. If I had to choose a best deck right now, I think it's going to be between Murktide, between Creativity, and between a Scam. Like, those are the 3 decks that I'm thinking, okay, these are the tier 0 decks right now. Hammer kind of like rears its ugly head in there as well. But I think Hammer has some flaws that are a lot easier to exploit than the other 3 decks. I think that the other 3 decks are really tough to exploit, actually. So that's what makes them so strong. But yeah, Amulet still always in the mix, and as always, a fantastic burn matchup. So if you're tired of losing to burn, just register Primeval Titan and you're gonna be golden. That's gonna be it for me today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on the way out. And as always, if you'd like to support my content, TCG Player, Mana Traders, you can support my content for free whenever you use their services using the links that you will find in the description down below. And of course, you can also support my content directly through Patreon, through direct donations, and through if you're interested in booking coaching as well. So that's it for me today. See you in the next one, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.